All right, welcome back to Genius. So this is day 18. Let's talk about arrays and array methods. Okay. So array is a data structure that we use to sum some kinds of data. So let's take a look at it. So we talk about arrays and array method. Please read EJS chapter 4, Eloquent JavaScript chapter 4, read Docker chapter 4 too. So you'll be creating a grocery list, filter number, use the map and the for each method. Okay, that will be your practice. Okay. So what is an array? An array is a data structure used to store multiple values in a single variable. So whenever you have multiple values that you want to store them in a single variable, you use array. Okay. So instead of creating multiple variables like this, student 1 John, student 2 Mary, instead of doing something like this, you can just store them in one array. All right. This is how you create an array. You just store them in one array. So we use an array to store multiple values. These values can be anything. It can be integers, it can be objects, it can even be arrays too. So we use it to store multiple values. So whenever you have any data structure that looks like, oh, this data I will be stored, you have multiple values of data to store, you use array. Okay. So let's take a look at the structure of an array. Index, numeric position of each element starts from 0. So let's just go to code and let's see. So I am just going to create, to create an array, there are different ways you can create an array, but for me, the one I use mostly is the array literal. So I will just call it, let's say, let me call this numbers. Okay, so this is how you create an array. You use the square brackets like this. So you can put in the items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. This is array of numbers. I can also create array of in strings, let's say fruits. So if I have a list of fruits, I can go with I can say one is apple. All right. Another one is orange. All right. Another one is cherry. Cherry. All right. So you can have a list of an array of so many things. All right. It can be of any data type. It can be of any value. Okay. So now, if we go back to here, you see that the structure of an array is that array is indexed. So the numeric position of each element is called the index of that element. So it always starts at 0. So when you have something like the fruit that we already have here, okay, let's go and see something. When you have something like this fruit, okay, look at this. They have indices. Okay, this apple, that's the first position. The index is 0. The first position, the index is 0. The second position, the index is 1. The third position, the index is 2. The same thing here. The first position here, the index is 0. The second position, the index is 1. So it starts from 0 and increments. So arrays are indexed. Okay. So array also contains elements. So the value stored in any array, in the array. So the elements, that's the items, the values that you stored in the array are called elements. So if we go back to our example, this apple is an element. All right. This orange is an element. So we have 3 elements in this fruit. We have 6 elements in these numbers. All right. So total number of elements in the array. All right. You can also get the total number of elements in the array. So if you want to get the total number of elements in that array, you use the length method of the array. So you can get the index of each position of you can get the index of each element. You can actually also have a look at the elements, that's the value stored in the array. You can also check for the length. Every array has a length. Okay. So example is this. In this case, we have apple, banana, cherry. So here the index The index of apple is 0. The index of banana is 1. The index of cherry is 2. All right. Then, if you want to access these elements, you will use the square bracket um, um, operator to get them, but you would actually give it the position. So now, if you want to access the first element, you use 0. 0 is the index, so you use the index. So in index 0 contains element of apple. All right. In the fruit, the length of it is 3. So if I go on and then do something like this, okay, so I have this, I can say console.log, and I want to get fruits dot length. I want to get the length. So how many, if you want to get the length, okay. So if you want to get the length, you would do fruit dot length. So let me just run the code. You can say I got 3. But if I say, let me go for the numbers, I want to check the length of the numbers. Oops, sorry. Wow. Okay. Okay, so this array, if I want to check the length of this numbers array, I'm going to get 6 as expected. So if I want to get the first item, I would use this square bracket. Then inside of it, I will put the index. So what item do you want to get? Let's say I want to get the item number 4. Let's say I want to get item in which value is 4. So what is the index? Remember, the index starts from 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3. So this is index 3. And if I save and run this code, it will give me that element, which is 4. All right. So if I also try fruits, all right. In this case, fruit does not have index 3, so it will throw an error. Look at it. Fruit have index 0, 1, 2. It doesn't have index 3. So if we run this thing, it's going to give us an error. It's undefined actually. It didn't give out error, but it's undefined. In other programming languages, it will give you error, index out of range error. Okay, but JavaScript will just tell you undefined because there's nothing there. So if I want to get orange, the index of orange is what? 1. Apple is 0, orange is 1. So I will go for 1. And when I do this, all right, I get orange. All right, so this is how to access items. So there are different types of array. We have homogeneous array. Homogeneous arrays are in the case that all the elements are of the same type. Like this example we have here now, 1, 2, 3, 4, all of them are numbers. They are of number type. So all the elements have the same type. We also have the heterogeneous arrays. In this case, the elements are of different types. JavaScript does not frown at it. If it's other programming language like C# or C++, all right, it will throw an error. But right now, John here is a string, 25 is a number, and true is a Boolean. So this is heterogeneous array. It is very, very possible. We also have multidimensional array. In this case, the elements of this array is also an array. The elements of this array is also an array. So let's go and see. So I could create another array and I'll call it multi. So it's going to, I start with this, so I can actually break it down. So this is my array, but the elements of this array is going to also be, instead of being number type or a string type, it's going to also be an array. I can do this, all right? Then I can even take, the next array can even be this, okay? And then I can also have maybe true, false here. So you can see now this is the array, all right? But now this array contains the elements of this array is also an array. But in this case, the elements of this array are all strings. So you can have multidimensional array in the case that you have more arrays as elements of the array. So if I go on and print this multi now, okay, If I print this multi, this is what we are going to get. You see what we got here? So this is a multi-dimensional array. We have the first item here is an array. The second item here is an array. The third is an array. So you can also access the elements if using their index. So if I say that I want the first element, all right, that's index 0. I want the first element in the 0. So what do you think I will get? I'm going to get this first element. But of course, it's also an array. So if I do this, I'm going to get that, and it's also an array. So I can also do, oh, okay, since what I'm getting here is an array, I can also get the elements of this particular array that I'm going to get. So if I try to get the element on index 1, I'm going to get 2. So what I'm saying here is this first expression will give me an array. Then this whole array would also be evaluated against this operator here. So it says, after getting this particular array that we got before, we also want to get the item. So this is how you can get multidimensional. All right, so let's talk about the common operations we can perform with arrays. Like you have already seen, array is an important data structure in JavaScript, very, very important. And with arrays, if you really understand arrays very well, you can build even other data structures that are not commonly found in JavaScript, but are found in other programming languages. So now the first operation you can perform is accessing arrays. You have already seen that we use the index position of the array to access the element. So if I say I use the name of the array and then put in the index, is it index 0? Remember, it starts from index 0. So with that, I can get access to the element. So you can also update the array um, um, using the index operation too. So with this, let me show you what it looks like. Okay. So now, if I want to modify, um, of course, you have seen how to access it. So let's modify the fruit array. So let's say I will say fruit. Then which of the elements do I want to? Let's say I want to change apple to something else. So the position of apple is what? At index 0. So I'll use the bracket operator and index operator, and I'll put 0 here. I will now say equal to. So I'm assigning it to another thing. So I can just say banana. Banana. All right. And if I go on to print fruits, if I go on to print fruits, you will see that the apple position has been changed to banana. Sorry about this. Okay. So I'll go with node index. You can see that apple is no longer here. We have changed it to banana. So we can use the index position and assign a new value to it. Okay. So that is how you modify or update an array. You can also use the array.length to find the length of the array. I think I have done this already. Okay. You can also use the for loop, the for off loop, or other array methods to iterate or loop through the array. So let's go and see what we can do. So if I want to get the length of this array, I'll say fruits.length. All right. And when I run this, it will give me, I think, 3. That's what we have there. It will give us 3. All right. It will give us 3. So now, if you want to loop through the array, okay, you can use the for off loop, the for each loop, and loop through the array. I think I have already done that. So use the for off loop, the for loop. You can use the traditional for loop. You can use the for off loop. You can also use there are other methods that we can also work on. So, but just a quick one. You can use the traditional for loop. Let I equal to 0. Let it start from 0. Let your initializer distance start from 0 because the index will always start from 0. So I less than less than the less than the fruit length, fruit dot length. So this is going to be our checkpoint. Okay. We don't want it to be equal. So you have to be mindful of your logic here. You really have to be mindful of your logic. If not, there will be some errors. So I can go on and console.log. I will say fruits of I. Now, what am I doing here? I'm starting my iteration. My counter is 0. And remember, this will give us the index. Remember, the index starts from 0. And here we are saying when the I here is less than the length. Remember, if we have three elements in the array, the index position will be less than the length. The length is 3, but the last index position will be 2. 0, 1, 2. That's the 3 elements. So we have to this your expression have to be correct. So if I go on to print this now, let me clear. So you can see that it has printed it from apple, orange, cherry. Okay, so we can also use the for loop. Okay, we can use the for loop, the for of loop. Sorry, this is the traditional loop. So we can use the for loop. So I can say for I can say for fruits of fruits. Okay, I want to console.log fruit. So you remember I mentioned this for off loop when we are talking about we have talked about this for off loop. So if I run this now, I will still get the same thing. If I go for the if I go for if I use the for in loop, it will give us the index position. So if you're looking for the index position, all right, you see, to give us the index position. So if you're looking for the index position, you can use the for in loop. If you're going for the value itself, you can use the for off loop. Okay. And remember the object.keys, the object.values, the object.entries method that you can also use. Okay. So you can also use the for each loop. I think I have showed you the for each loop. Okay. So now examples are already, we have done a couple of examples here. So play with these methods, play with this operation. So let's take a look at some array method. So we have a couple of methods that are called mutator methods, like they mutate, all right? They mutate the array. We have seen push, we have seen pop, all right? Okay, so let's take them one by one. Push, what will push do? Push will add an item to the end of the array. You understand? So push will add an item to the end of the array. So if I go on and say, now look at this array okay, let me just remove this multi-dimensional array, okay? You can see that this array, at the end of the array, we have cherry. But if we want to add something to the end of it, we'll use the push method. So I will say fruits dot push. So this push would add an item. So I can say banana. It will add an item to the end of the array. So of course I can still use this to loop through it. So you can say that, or even before then, I can just say console.log fruits. Okay, so and if I go on, I'll clear. You can see, okay, this is giving us the index. So you can see here that banana has been added to the end. So I can just change this thing to be for off. Banana has been added to the end. All right, so we use push to add an item to the end. But if you use, the next one is pop. Pop will remove an item and also return it. It will remove the item. It will remove the item and also return it. So there will be no need for this. Let me take it out. Okay. and then I can say the item that was removed. Let us also print it out. So what will the pop do? The pop will remove the item at the end. Oops, sorry. The pop does not take any parameter, any argument. So pop will remove the last item at the end. So cherry will be removed, and the pop will return it as an item. We'll get it here as an item, and then when we run this code, you're going to see that cherry will not be in the fruit again. So you can see cherry is no longer in the array again, and we are after removing it, he gave it to us. Do you understand? So he gave it to us. So in case you want to remove an item from an array and you still want to use it, you can actually use the pop method, store the item that the pop method is returning in a variable. So we also have the shift. The shift and the unshift, they do opposite of the push and the pop. So the shift will remove the first item. Remember, the pop will remove the last item, but the shift will remove the first item. So let's go and say it. The shift will remove the first item. The pop will remove the last item, which is cherry, but the shift will remove the first item, which is apple. So if I run this now, the difference is that shift will remove the first item and return it, while pop will remove the last item and return it. Then on shift would add. Be careful. This thing is very confusing. Sometimes it confuses me. Instead of me to use pop push to add, all right, to the end of the item, to the end of the array, I will use on shift to add to the start of the array. So it wouldn't return anything. To not return anything. It will just add to the start. The push would add to this end, while the unshift will add to the start. You can see that banana is now at the start. So with the push, it would have added this banana to the end, but we are using the unshift. So the unshift will add to the start. So in case you want to add to the start of an array, you will use the unshift. If you want to add at the end of the array, you use push. If you want to remove from the end of the array, you will use pop. If you want to remove from the start of the array, you will use shift. Okay. We also have the splice. This splice is very, very, it makes sense. So you can use the splice to add or remove items at a specific position. So let's pay close attention. Okay. The first argument is, at what position do you want to start from? Then how many items do you want to remove? All right. And then what item do you want to add? So now let's go and show you. Please pay close attention here. Now I want to go, I'm using the splice method. All right. So, but the first item, the first argument, okay, let me show you something. The moment you open the first bracket, it will tell you, look at what it's saying here. It says, it's giving us the first thing. It says the start is at what point? At what point do we want to start removing or adding? So let's assume that we want to. You can use the splice to add and also to remove. So let us use the first. Let us add with splice. So I want to start at position 2. Remember, position 2 is cherry. Position 2 is cherry. Apple is at position 0. Sorry, apple is at position 0. Orange is at position 1, and cherry is at position 2. So I want to start at position 2. It is up to you. Then how many do I want to delete? I don't want to delete. In this case, I don't want to delete anything. All right? I don't want to delete anything. Okay, I don't want to delete anything. So I can just say 0, and then I can now use the rest operator to add in items. So I can add as many items I want. I can say banana. All right. I can add as many items as I want. I can add banana. I can add pear. Okay, I can add pear. All right. So you can see in this case now, I'm using the splice to do addition here. I said I want to start at index 2. That means I want to start from here. And then I want to delete nothing. I don't want to delete anything. And I want to add 2 items. So if I go on and then run this code, All right, if I go on and run this code, you can see that now apple, orange, banana, pear, cherry. So you can see that cherry was not removed though. But the thing is that these two items that I added here have taken the position of 2. So it has pushed cherry out. So you use the splice method if you want to add items at a particular index. So in this case, we are adding banana pear on the position of 2. So what they did was it now pushed cherry aside. It pushed cherry aside. Okay, and then we have this. So this is using splice to add. So if I want to use splice to delete, I can say from index 2, delete one item. So if I put the delete count as a positive number, something above 0, look at it, cherry will be removed. So if I save now, just please watch the difference. You can see that cherry has been removed. So on position 2, remove one item. From position 2, remove one item and then add this other one. So if I don't want to add anything and I just want to remove, I will say remove from index position 2, that's index 2, remove one item. This would remove without adding. It will remove without adding. You can see cherry has been removed. So play around with this splice method. You can use it to add, all right? You can also use it to delete, and you can also use it to delete and add. So that's what we have done. I did add, I did delete, add, and I did delete only. So please pay attention to this method. It is very, very important. It could come very handy. You can also use the sort method. When you use the sort method, it also mutating our methods are methods that change the structure or the elements or their positioning. Okay, so it mutates them, it changes the array. So the sort method will just sort the items. So if I go on and call on the fruit, I will say fruit dot sort. If I say fruit dot sort, what it will do is this. Look at this thing is apple, orange, cherry. You can see that on a normal, cherry is supposed to come alphabetically. Cherry is supposed to come before orange. So now that we have sorted it, we are going to get cherry will come before orange. Oh, sorry. Now it has sorted it, but the thing is that it sorts it. There is a way JavaScript sorts. This is something we teach in strings. Sorting lexicographically. Let me not bite my tongue. But the thing is that there is a way JavaScript sort strings. The capital O comes before the small letter A. So that is why orange came first. But let's assume now the thing is this, I believe we will still talk about strings and then comparison, okay? But the thing is that in this case now, all right, if I run it, everything will work the way we expected it. Apple, cherry, orange. But there's a way, okay, let me give you an assignment. Go and find out how JavaScript sorts strings. And then if you get any confused, if you're not able to find any answer, drop it in the WhatsApp group that you want us to talk about it. All right, it's up to you. Go and do this as an assignment. And if you don't get it, right, come to the WhatsApp group and ask for us to discuss it in a live class. So there is a way JavaScript sorts strings. So it's an assignment for you. Okay, go and check it. JavaScript sorts strings lexicographically. All right, and then you can see that this has been sorted now. Okay, we also have the reverse. The reverse will just reverse their position. So normally cherry will not come first, apple will go last. All right, you can see it just reverses it. All right. All right. So the next type of methods we'll talk about is the accessor methods. They do not modify the original array. We just use them to retrieve or access the items in the element, okay? So we'll talk about a few of them. We'll talk about concat. The first one we'll talk about is concat. So concat method is used to join two arrays. So let me show you. I have this array and I have this array. So if I want to concat the two arrays, I will call fruits.concat. Then I will pass in the numbers array. All right. So when I run this, you will see that uh, what happened? Um, this will return. Okay, it will return a new array. Okay, sorry about that. It will return a new array. All right, it will return a new array. So I'm consoling the new array now. So you can see now that the new array now contains both arrays. So we are using concat method to merge the two arrays. So you can even do can concat more than one array here. I can even do now 8, 9, 10. All right. So this is an array. This is a literal array. So this would also work. So if I go on, you can see that it added it. Okay, so all right. So the next one we'll take a look at is slice. We use slice to get a part of an array, just like sliced bread. You can take them slice by slice until you finish the bread. So we use slice to take part of the array. So the thing is this, it extracts part of the array, but you have to give the slice method. Where do you want to start and where do you want to end? So let's take an example here. So let's assume, okay, I want a slice. Okay, so in this case, I want a slice. I want a slice of the fruit array. And where do I want to start? I want to start from index 0. That means I want it from the beginning. And I want to end at index 3, index 2. So please be careful. Look at this is going to give us apple and orange. This is going to give us from the beginning, which is 0, to this 2 is exclusive. They will not include the 2. So the element at index 2 will not be included in this slice. So pay close attention. So this will only give us apple and orange. This is position 1, position index 0, index 1, index 2. But in this case, this index 2 will not be included. The element at index 2 will not be included. So if I run this now, we're only going to get apple and orange. So this will not be included. So if you want to include this index 2, you use 3 as the end index here. So in this case, I am going to get, sorry, in this case, I'm going to get everything. Okay, so you can start from index, let's say we want to start from index 2. You can start at any index at all. So if I say I start at index 2, it will give me 0, 1, 2. So it will start from here and then end here too. So I will only get cherry. Just play around with these things to understand better. So I can also say, give me start from index 0, all right? And then I'm not giving the end index. The first parameter, the first argument is the start index. The last parameter, the last argument is the end index. So if I don't give the end index, guess what? It's going to give me everything. It will give me everything because I did not provide. So the JavaScript will assume that you want from start index to end to you want everything. So if I say I want to start from index 1, that means apple will not be included to give me orange from orange till the end. But if I also did not include the start index, you will have to put this comma, all right? And then I said I want to stop at index 2. Okay, so there's a way we do this. I'm using Python's slides. That's what I'm doing here now. So, but let me get it right. Let me get it right. The start index is I don't want the start index, but I want to end at 2. But this will not work. All right. this is still not also work. I do this with Python too, so it's confusing me now. Okay, so the end index is optional, and the end index is also optional. Okay. The beginning index of the section it starts undefined and returns a copy of a section. So there's a way if you want to get only, you want to start, you don't want to include the start index. Okay, so I think I'm getting confused here because of I'm looking at Python slice. Okay, so that is what is confusing me. So in JavaScript, you have to actually provide the start index and the end index. But if you don't provide the end index, it will run from start to end. Okay, so but I'm just trying to work around. There's a trick we also use in Python, so it doesn't work here. Even the step, I was thinking of the starting desk, the ending desk, and also the step. But JavaScript doesn't have that. My bad, my bad. All right. So we also have another method called the includes. The includes would check if value exists, and then it will check if the value exists. So if you say array.includes, you give it an item, it will check if that particular item exists in that array. All right. So if you want to check if we have apple, so I'm going to say console.log. So I will say fruits.include. So I'm asking, does this fruit include banana? In this case, the answer will be no because it doesn't include banana. So it will give us false. It will return true or false. To give us false because fruit does not contain banana. But does this fruit contain apple? Yes, it contains apple. Remember, it is case sensitive. It is case sensitive. So it is true. So you use the include to check if an item exists in an array. Okay. We also have the index of, you use the index of to get the index of an item. So if we want to get the index of, we want to know at what index does orange appear. So or apple, I will say index of. So this will give us 0. The index of apple is 0. Let me clear a bit so that we can have some space. You can see it gave us index 0. If I ask for orange, it will give us 1. All right. But if the item does not exist, it will give us -1. So let me ask for oranges. Of course, we don't have any item oranges in this fruit. So it's going to give us -1. So when an item exists, index of will give you the index of that item. If the item does not exist, index of will give you -1. So we also have the last index of. So the thing is this, you can have two items, identical items in an array. So if you want to get the last index of that item, it will give you the last match index. So let me show you with an example. Let's assume I also have apple here. Okay, so I want to get the last index of apple. So what do you think is going to give me? It's going to give me the last index of the last occurrence of apple. It's going to give me this will give me the last occurrence. So it's going to give me 3. That's the last index. All right. The first one starts from index 0, but the last one. So this will give me the last index. But if I try to say index of, it will give index of will give me the first index occurrence. All right. There are a lot of methods on this array. You see, this one will give me the first occurrence, the first index of the apple occurrence. Okay. We also have the join. You can use the join to convert you can use the join method to convert an array to a string. Okay, so but you have to provide the delimiter. So if I say if I want to convert this array to a string, I'll say fruit.join. Then what do I want to use to separate the elements? I can say I want to use comma, and if I go on like this and I run this code, you can see it gave us a string. So if instead of comma, I can say I want a space. All right, so there will be space between the items. You can see, you can use any delimiter. You can use anything. I can say I want a pipe to separate the elements. So it will return it as a string. So you can see. So if you have an array, you can convert it to a string using the join method. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at the iteration method. Now we have a couple of them. We have seen the for each method. All right. This runs a function on each element. So if I go on, and again, if you really want to understand this in array very well, we have JavaScript for beginners where we take time to create and explain all these things one after the other. All right, this is a boot camp, so we try to teach you everything at once. But in the other courses, we took time to explain it one small chunks. Okay, so let's take a look at the for each method. So this one is used for transformation iteration method. So if you want to do some this is used to iterate the arrays. So I want to iterate through the fruit array. So I'm going to use fruit dot for each. Now the for each will be asking me for a callback function. I'm going to use an arrow function. Did I get it right? No. So outside. So this is my arrow function. Okay. So what do I want to do? Now for every iteration of this array, all right, this for each function, this callback function, instead of this for each function, will get the item, or I can say item. So now this function that I'm writing here now would be iterated, it will be applied to all these items one after the other. And for each iteration, this item will JavaScript will put each of the items on this each of the items here. So it will assign it to this item. So if I say console.log, so for all the items, JavaScript will do this. So if I run this now, I'm going to get all the items. All right, you can say I get all the items. So this is the for each method. All right, we also have the map method. I can use the map method to do the same thing. But basically, if I want to transform, the map method does the same thing. But with the map method is different. Okay, the map method can return. So in this case, I could just want to return. Let's say I want to change. I want to modify or transform the items. So for each of the items, I would want to return something. If I, instead of console.log here, I could just say return, and then I want to return the item plus, let me just say, this would also take the index. So this will take the item. Now for the map method, it will also take the index. So I could say return. Now for each of the item in the array, we are returning something. So I can say return, and I can say item. Oops. Okay, yeah. Sorry, my bad. My bad. I say item is at position or at index. So the thing is that you can do whatever you want to do with this, but don't worry, when we start building big applications, we are going to be using this thing very often. So, but just understand now, you see this map method will return another array, a different structure of a different array. So now the for loop does not return anything, the for each loop does not return anything, but the map method will return whatever you return from this method, this function. We are giving it a callback function. So whatever you return from this method or from this function would be returned to this array. So in this case, we are transforming the items. So we are getting each of the items and we are returning something different, a different structure. So if I go on and console.log, please, if in case you get confused, please, you know what to do. Always reach out to us. So you can see that this array is going to be different from the one we had. So you can see now, this is not, see, the original array is this, but we have transformed it using the map method to get each of the items is now something like this. So you can do so much with the map method. All right. If you want to learn more about this map method, go to our JavaScript for Beginners class course. All right, take time and go through that program. You'll get it for free of charge. Okay, you get it for free of charge. So the filter, we also have the filter method. The filter method returns an array that passes a test. The filter method will return array that passes a test. So you'll be the one to write the test. So in this case, I will say array. So in this case, I want to use filter. Filter would also still take callback function, and this would be the item. And then the filter method is returning, it will return item. So let's return all the item that so I'm giving a test now. So I want to filter all the items that are not that what can I do here? What can I do here? Okay, in this case, now let me use numbers. Let me use numbers. So let me filter, sorry. Let me filter all the items that are greater than 3. So I'm returning all the items that are greater than 3. You can see now, I only got arrays that are the item that are greater than 3. So this filter method will take a callback function, and then you will have to pass in this must be a Boolean expression. This must return a Boolean expression. So if that Boolean expression is true, then it will return for that array, it will return that item. Okay, so like I said, if you do not understand this filter method right now, go to that JavaScript. I think that JavaScript course is for free of charge. Go and enjoy it. All right, we'll take time to explain all these things in details. In small chunks, we'll have enough time to explain them. But in this case, filter is used to filter the elements of the item, or any item that passes this test. So this is a test. So in this case, we are saying any element that is greater than 3 should be returned. So, and in this case, we only return 4, 5, 6 because they are all greater than 3. All right. So we also have the include, the reduce, the sum, the every. Guys, I would want you to go and work on this. Okay. Like I said, we have these methods explaining details in that JavaScript program. So you can also go and check out on your own. It's not just hash. So this one reduces array to a single value. This one checks, the sum checks if at least one element matches. So I want to give you an assignment. Go and sort this thing out yourself. But if in case you find it difficult, drop it in the WhatsApp group that, oh, you did not understand the reduce method. Can I explain it better? Yes, I will do that. But I want to give you some assignment, okay? So best practices, use the map method if you want to transform your arrays. So let's say you have an array and you want to transform it to another thing, you use the map function. Use the filter when you're removing unwanted items without altering original array. Avoid sort without a compare function when dealing with numbers. All right, the default sorting is string sort. So avoid using sort method without a compare function. Use cons for arrays you don't plan to reassign, okay? Prefer iteration methods, map, filter, reduce over loops for cleaner code. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you in the next class.